Good morning, YouTube. This is Los Angeles Prepper here, and today's video is going to be a slightly different topic than we normally do. I've had some stuff kind of grinding on me the last couple days, so I'm going to do a little mini rant video in hopes that I can put this stuff behind me and try to focus on being productive today because I have a lot of work to do. And so anyways, as some of you might know, I am a student. I'm going to a local college studying engineering, mechanical engineering, if anyone's curious. Something has been a long time in the making. I was a mechanical engineering major a while ago. Unfortunately, it did not pan out due to a variety of things. So got another degree, worked for a little bit. Now I'm full circle back in school again. But what has been causing me grief recently? Well, taking a few different classes, and one class is sort of project based, and well, there's a few different this class has been a source of grievance pretty much from the beginning. In fact, I hate to make a list, but just for my own just for organizing my own thoughts. Oh, perhaps I will make a list. So, why is this class driving me crazy? Well, I guess the first thing I should mention is the timeline. So we are in a semester system that's 16 weeks. And ever since the beginning of the class, I sort of understood that we were going to be doing a project on the class, kind of an engineering type project, building something, creating something, modifying something. So I was stoked about that. And actually, I was going to take this class in the summer, but they decided not to offer it for I don't know what reason. My school does a lot of funny things up in management, at least in the engineering department. So anyway, so I had actually kind of planned a project for the class like months and months ago. Already kind of knew what I was going to work on. Professor wasn't having it. Professor is a very interesting person. He has a good heart, but he's kind of a few things. He's very controlling, which is something that I do not mesh well with. At least in the sense of the student-teacher relationship. If you're my boss and you're trying to control me, you're my boss. If you're my drill sergeant, or my superior in the military, um, that's another thing. But I always thought of the professor more as kind of a facilitator. I'm not talking about, do your homework. Oh, the professor's making me do my homework. I mean, I'm just like trying to really push a person, like do this, work on this, work with this person. So we were supposed to choose this project for the class, and week 1, week 2, week 3, I would keep kind of bugging the professor about trying to choose the project, and his head was not. I don't really know where his head's at. I know where his head used to be in 1960 and 1970, which I think is causing a little bit of problems in 2017, but that's another story. Um, so we didn't sort of get into choose what project we're going to work on until sort of like week 4 or 5. So we already spent a quarter of the class kind of spinning our wheels, not really getting closer to finishing the project for the class, which is like the big grade. So that was the first thing. Then as far as which project to choose, I mentioned that I had, a specific project in mind. It was going to be a glove that reduces tremors for someone I know has some tremors. Would have been a fantastic project. This person that I was going to make the glove for is a great person, someone that I know, someone who's helping me learn about welding and communications and kind of he's not a prepper, but he kind of helps me on these sort of miscellaneous prepper things. Plus, he's just a friend. He's just a good guy. So I wanted to help him out. Professor wasn't having it. He sort of has this idea that every class needs to rehash like a current or existing project from the previous class. Now, I understand the theory in that he's trying to kind of build momentum. So if somebody wants to build an electric scooter, say, so that someone disabled could roam around on the beach, that you wouldn't make a new one from scratch every single time. But that being said, it's not very exciting if the only things you get to choose are something that a previous class has already kind of put together and built. And if the only thing that class gets to choose is something that a previous, I'm getting an engineering degree so that I can build new things and create new things in this world. So the fact that he's sort of like, well, you don't get to create anything new. I want you to work on something that's already put together was really kind of not. It was just like, it just kind of kills my spirit, my engineering spirit, that I'm just being forced to work on this one thing when I had all this kind of emotional energy invested in this other direction. But, that's life. So the third aspect, the whole team aspect of it, look, teamwork is great when you're in a team, when you sort of like coming to something with the same goals, same motivation, same level of enthusiasm, same accountability, same timeline, when you're in the same world. You know, the Army, like, for example, the Army Rangers and the Navy SEALs, they're on Team America, they're on Team US military, but they're not on the same team in the sense that, they might train together, they might do some stuff together, but the Navy SEALs are in their own world, the Army Rangers are in their own world, the Marine Special, Expedite Reconnaissance Force or whatever, they're in their own world. So as far as choosing as far as teamwork, yeah, teamwork is great, but as far as trying to equate teamwork at school to teamwork at the office, they're night and day. And I'm not going to make this a teamwork video, but suffice it to say, if grades are the only thing on the line, I don't want to be teamed up with my students, my classmates. Sure, there's some talented ones and some motivated ones, but let me give you an example so you don't think I'm just some asshole of why I don't want to work on my team or why I don't want to work on with another team. So in the last, we've sort of had our project approved for 3 weeks. So as an individual working on the project, with the help, my teammate helped me load test 4 batteries. We have 7 batteries. I tested the other 3 batteries on my own, which I'm not really bitter about. Although I did ask my teammate to test the 5th battery so that I could test the other 2, and he just wasn't really having it. So in the 3 weeks, we've tested all 7 batteries. We've got documentation on the motor. We have about 3/4 of a complete wiring diagram. We've also we have pretty good documentation on the controller, but kind of lacking documentation on the motor. But the point is, I've put in work towards testing the batteries, getting information on the components, putting together the wiring diagram. Pretty sensible stuff that you would think if you're working on an electric project, you're going to want to get into that. Other teams are still farting around. They don't have wiring diagrams. They don't really have good documentation. They're just kind of tinkering. To be honest, the first week I worked on the project, I had all the batteries connected up to it, and we were doing testing on it because I was told that it worked. I was told that it worked when it got put away, so I charged the batteries, plugged it all in, and tried to make it run. I didn't feel like that was a very aggressive thing to do, and then the teacher's getting all crazy about, oh, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to work with this guy and work with that guy, and just driving me crazy with all this crap that I have to deal with. So reason number 3 that this class, so reason number 1, the timeline that this professor is working with me is just delay after delay after delay. Reason number 2, kind of had to choose whatever project he forced me to choose. And it took me twisting his arm and being sort of unpolite to even get this e-bike project. Reason number 3, kind of being forced to work in a team. So what I'm getting at with this whole team thing, like I was saying, I've been working my ass off and everyone else has dicked around. Now, if everyone wants to dick around, that's fine, but that's not me. So to put me with someone who wants to kind of hem and haw and twiddle their thumbs while I'm going balls to the wall, not cool. You know, all the other loser students can do whatever they want with their project, but I'm like trying to make shit happen. So, and then who specifically is on my team? This is where it gets like even more insane. So there's I'm in a graduate program. There's 3 ways to graduate. You can do a thesis, you can do a project, or you can do the comprehensive exam. I'm doing the exam because a thesis is an enormous amount of work, and trying to work with professors at my school is just not the easiest thing. And I'm not doing the project because I was told by my school that I can't really do it, even though I could have. It's a whole nother rant video. But so my teammate, so I'm in a graduate level class and I have to do stuff on this project for this class. My teammate is doing his graduate project, like getting his graduate degree project on the same thing that I'm working on. So what's really weird is that typically when you're a graduate student, even if you're working with other students or something, your graduate project is essentially something you kind of take ownership of yourself. You go your own direction, you do your own thing. So here's the graduate project world, and here's the I'm taking this class world. So our professor just thought, oh, why not just push them together? And that's kind of a cute idea. The only problem is I'm in a 16-week class, and my teammate has essentially a whole year to dick around. So, for example, we've been trying to decide on a modification to do the motorcycle. You know, regenerative braking, new controller, new motor, new batteries, something. So, or even something more mechanical like a cargo rack, or something more cosmetic like finishing the body panels. For the last 3 weeks, I've been on my teammate. Hey, help me choose an upgrade. Let's choose an upgrade. I know we got to get the bike working, but if we want to upgrade it, that's going to take planning too. Like how much is the motor, how much are the batteries, we got to order shit, etc., etc. My teammate refuses to put his eggs in any basket with regard to an upgrade. We have like a shared document. There's stuff, there's upgrades listed on the document. I bugged him about it half a dozen times. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of bugging him about it. And I realized that because it's his graduate project and that he has all of next semester to work on it, you know, he's literally half as motivated. If you say you're motivated directly in proportion to like your due dates, he's at least half as motivated as I am to finish this. So that's one thing. The motivation isn't even a match. But then the other thing about the work product in general, I have to admit I'm feeling a little bit bitter about the whole thing, but I'm feeling a little bit bitter about the fact that his graduate project is gaining benefit from my work from this class. Now, if we're collaborating and I understand something, I explain something, then that's one thing. But if I put together a wiring diagram and then he puts that in his report and says, here's a wiring diagram some guy made, you know, I'm really not comfortable putting my energy towards something that's he's going to get credit for him getting his degree. Like I'm trying to get my degree and do my thing too. So this whole idea that he's in another class, that I'm forced to work with him, and that his project is sort of taking on a different meaning and all in this different time frame really frustrates me. That the teacher was just like, oh, you guys should work together. Is that cool? No, it's not really cool, man. It's really, really not cool, in fact. Really don't appreciate it. So, and then to top all that off, so I've been busting my ass on this project, you know, testing the motors, figuring out what's going on, getting the documentation, putting the wiring diagram together, because I've already gotten in trouble twice. The first time I got in trouble was from putting all the batteries in and testing it, and the teacher getting all butthurt about, oh, you got to do the wiring diagram. So we can't do anything until we have the full wiring diagram approved. Okay, so what do? I spend the next 2 weeks working on the wiring diagram. But apparently that's for nothing because a few weeks ago the professor's like, oh, talk to this guy, he donated the bike. Talk to this guy, he donated the bike, he has a friend who worked on it. Now, of course, if there's other people who've worked on the project, of course I'm going to contact them and say, hey, what do you know about this? Can you help me? Do you have a wiring diagram? You know, stuff like that. Well, the gentleman that he had the contact information for, who was a former classmate who had the most experience with bike, as far as I understood, he has no idea what the wiring diagram is. He doesn't have a wiring diagram. It's not in the binder. He doesn't have it in his notes. So that was kind of a dead end. He offered to come explain stuff to us best he could. That's nice, but the thing is, my professor got pissed at me last night because he's like, well, I don't understand why you haven't contacted this guy, and I gave you this guy's contact information, and I told you to contact him, and you guys have basically, do you understand how this works, and do you understand how that works? And no, so you basically haven't learned anything in the last 2 weeks. And I was fucking livid. I was not having it because here I am busting my ass on this project, and my professor's getting all pissy because I didn't email some guy who he thinks might know something about it, but he doesn't have any more like, that's a vague ass promise. So email some guy, he might know something, or he might have a friend who knows something. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's just not very exciting to me. And I didn't prioritize it. And especially because if I was going to have someone come talk to me about the bike, if let's say, like, let's fast forward a year, and a student in that class emails me and says, hey, the professor gave me your email, you worked on the bike, I want to talk. I would say, sure, great. Quick question, have you had a chance to go through the binder? If you could, spend a couple hours trying to familiarize yourself with all the documents on file, and then, to make the most use of our time. So that's how I'm thinking about it. Our professor just wants us to talk people and collaborate with people. I mean, just to give you an example. So anyways, the professor gets all pissed at me because I haven't contacted this guy. Not because the guy can magically solve our problems. He just got pissed because he's a control freak. Because he asked me to do something. See, this is the passive aggressive shit that I just really can't handle. He sort of suggested that I do something, but what it was really was like, if you don't do this, he was basically telling us to do it. He was suggesting we do something, or he was telling us to do something under the guise of suggesting to do it. Like, I don't read between the lines. Like, if you say to me, contact him this week, that's one thing. But if you say, here's his information, contact him when you get a chance, or contact him in the future, I don't think you get a right to get upset at me because I'm not working the project forward the way. And that's the thing, he wants me to do the project a specific way. And if I told you all the different modifications that he's already had, I mean, the guy he's fried parts of his brain cells. I'm 100% sure he did some serious fucking drugs in the 60s and 70s because he's not all there. He's not all there. I have a really good judge of character, and granted, I'm kind of bitter with him about some stuff that's going on, but all that aside, he was a little off to me from the beginning. And I don't kowtow to him. I don't act like a subservient, oh, the professor is right and the professor is God kind of way. And that could be rubbing him the wrong way. He might want us all to act like a bunch of 10-year-olds. But I'm a grown-ass man, and I know what I want in life, and I know how to get things done in an efficient manner. And I know that if I'm going to talk to someone about a project I'm working on, I would at least like to have a wiring diagram to talk with them about it. Because how am I going to have someone who worked on the bike come look at it and say, oh, well, where's your wiring diagram? Oh, well, I don't have one. I thought I would talk to you first. I would expect most people to say in reply, well, why don't you put together a wiring diagram and get back to me? So there's the whole professor getting pissy at me thing. And then this collaboration just, it's like asinine the amount of collaboration this guy just expects us to do. Like a couple weeks ago, there's kind of a group that meets in the area that we work that does other stuff, kind of a club, like a get your hands dirty with mechanical stuff club, if you will. So a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Oh, if you can like work with the club so that they can fix the taillights on the bike." And I'm just like, "What are you talking about? Like, do you really think that fixing a turn signal, first of all, like this is the project that we're working on and I really have better things to do than try to coordinate teaching college students how to fix a brake light. Yeah, it's important, but it's not really complicated enough that like I need to work with them on this specific brake light." Just really bizarre. And last night, of course, I get the nth degree about why didn't I contact all these guys. And then he just gives me this assignment of, well, after he gets all pissy at me, he says, "Okay, so beyond the people that I told you to contact, um, I want you to collaborate with this other student in this other class who's kind of working on electrical stuff. I want you to call this other guy who might own an electric vehicle, who might know this other guy called something who might know stuff. And then I want you to work with this other guy in your class." Now, that makes sense because he's working on an electric vehicle and he's in our class. So he's like right next to us, of course. But like he already told us to talk with, like we see this classmate every day. So the fact that he's all like, "I want you to start working with him," and then gives us his email, like I don't see this dude every day. So then that's that guy. And so yeah, so he just like every time we talk with him about the project, he's just a collaborative guy. He just expects that if like the restaurant is late in getting out food, just keep throwing cooks into the kitchen. Don't worry about what supplies you have. Don't worry about if the stove is working. Don't worry about anything else. Just keep putting cooks into the kitchen and that's going to solve the problem. And it's driving me up the frickin' wall. Um, I don't mind collaborating with people, but I know based on him that if I don't email all these people and try to pick their brains about all this crap, he's going to get pissy with me next week. And why didn't you email them? And why aren't you working with them? And I mean, verbatim, he was like, "Well, I gave you this path and you don't have to follow it and you can do everything from scratch on your own." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, why are you getting so passive aggressive with me because I'm not doing this project the way that you want me to do it?" Like I'm busting my ass trying to put the whole thing together with basically zero input from my teammate. Um, and this is the thanks that I get? You being pissy with me about not emailing some guy who might know something? So, anyways, I don't know how long this 23-minute rant video, but let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Am I crazy for liking to work alone? Am I crazy for not liking to be micromanaged? Oh, and one last thing. So I contact the company that makes the motor, the electric motor for the that we have on the bike. It's a motor that's common to golf carts, and I asked them for some documentation, like anything they have that they can send me. The president of the company responds back, and let me read you this email because I can't make this stuff up. And if I see an email from my professor, I don't even want to look at it right now. Oh, Sevcon called back. So, anyways, the email from Mr. Douchebag Motor Company owner. "Greetings, Paul. As part of our company's policy, we are not allowed." And let me tell you what I emailed him first. "Good afternoon. We need a wiring diagram to connect this motor to the power pack, blah, blah, blah. This is a separately excited motor, must be connected in a specific way. Please provide any documentation you can on the motor and accompanying wiring diagrams." So I just said, please provide anything you can. Could be specs, could be, stuff like that. So he says, "Greetings, Paul. As part of our company policy, we're not allowed to talk to any of our customers without their specific authorization. If you did not purchase this motor and or controller directly from us, please refer your questions to who you originally purchased the motor and or controller from. Thanks, Mike Deeroff, who is the president of the company. Which I didn't know that until I looked on their website. I thought he was just some sales guy. So the president of this motor company is saying, well, if you didn't buy the motor, I don't want anything to do with you. Go fly a kite. Wow. Fuck you too. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of customer service in my day. I've dealt with some good customer service and some bad customer service. But this guy gets the blue ribbon for bullshit today. You know, I've never ever had a company say, "Oh, if you didn't buy it, we don't want to talk to you at all." This guy's not impressed. This guy is not impressed. Now, in contradiction to that, so that was the people who made the motor. The people who made the controller, this is what they responded. This is what real customer service is. I called this guy less than an hour ago. Okay? Called this guy less than an hour ago. Hi, this is Joe with DEF CON. The Power Pack is an older product of ours. We no longer support it with universities. Oh. We do have dealers that do have engineering resources that support it. You will need adjustment tools. There's no one wiring configuration. Blah, blah, blah. I know it needs to be set up with special stuff. Blah, blah, blah. So you can see that one company is, we don't want to talk to you. The other company is, sorry, we don't support it, but here's a local distributor in your area who might be able to help. Essentially the same answer. You're out of luck with the corporate, but one company decided to say F you. The other company said, hey, I'm really sorry. Here's the best we can do. So yeah, this project and this class and this professor are driving me up the wall. The more I get into it, the more complicated it gets. And I don't have a choice. I got to pass this class. I got to get this credit. So like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you like group work. Tell me if you like customer service. Tell me if you like reinventing the wheel. Because that's what my life is. See you next time and take care.